Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my Music Theory tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. We turn now to page 24 of the Grade 2 Discovering Music Theory workbook. We're on to chapter 5, which is part 1 of the topic of keys and scales. And so we learn about the scales of A major, B flat major and E flat major. And really, the only new information here now is that we need to remember some more sharps and flats for each major key. But the principle is always the same, just as we learned in grade 1. The major scale, if you remember, scale literally just means step, as we step up the ladder step by step, but because it's the major scale particularly, we have to step up in a progression of tones and semitones, full steps and half steps. And if you remember, the major scale, so C major is the easiest one to start with because it has no sharps or flats, it's all of the white keys on the piano, and the major scale must always be tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So from C to D is a tone, D to E is a tone, E to F is a semitone. So there's our tone, tone, semitone. Semitone is just the next door note, whether it's white or black is irrelevant. And then we want 3 tones. F to G is a full step made up of 2 halves. G to A is a full step made up of 2 halves. A to B is a full step made up of 2 halves, and then we end with a final semitone, B to C. And then depending which note we start on, we have to add sharps or add flats to keep that arrangement of tones and semitones. And that's why in G major we need F sharps, because tone, tone, semitone, so far that's all the white keys, tone, tone. Now we want another semitone, so E to F won't do. We have to go to F sharp to get that full tone made up of 2 halves, and then F sharp to G gives us our final semitone. And so D major requires F sharps and C sharps, and now we move to A major here, which we can see, if we look, now requires 3 sharps. And if we count from A, we're going to run out of space, so we're going to have to double back. Oh no, we can make it, we've got an octave here. So we want tone, A to B. We want another tone, so that's going to have to be B to C sharp. Semitone, C sharp to D, that's fine. Now we want 3 tones, D to E, E to F sharp, there's a tone. We want another full step, another full tone. F sharp to G sharp gives us that full tone. G sharp to A gives us the semitone to finish. And so that's why we need 3 sharps. And it's quite laborious having to keep counting tone, tone, semitone. And so we just remember the key signatures of how many sharps or how many flats, and it kind of does that thinking for us. But that's the reason that we need these extra sharps and flats, because when we start on a different step, a different part of the scale, we need different arrangements of sharps and flats to make that tone, tone, semitone. And it's very important that we remember, say for example, A major requires a C sharp because it's replacing the C step of the scale. It's not D flat because we have D naturals, and so it's particularly replacing a note by raising it to make that full step. When it's a sharp, or we're lowering it to make it a flat, to make it a flat to make the correct arrangement of tones and semitones. If you want a quick reference, of course, all of your key signatures are here, or you can go to my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, and on the PDF information sheets for grade 2, you'll see all of the key signatures there as well. And you'll notice it's really interesting here. If we start on C major, which is kind of our starting point of no sharps or flats, if we count up 5 degrees, we need 1 sharp. C, D, E, F, G. If we count up another 5 steps, G, A, B, C, D, we need 2 sharps. If we count up another 5 steps, D, E, F, G, A, we need 3 sharps. And then going back to C as our starting point, if we count backwards, 5 steps, C, B, A, G, F, we need 1 flat. If we count backwards 5 full steps from F, 1, 2, 3, 4, we need B flat to make that full step. So B flat major requires 2 flats, and if we count back 5 from B flat, that gives us E flat major. And so as we count up in 5s, we keep adding a sharp. As we count backwards in 5s, we keep adding a flat. And you will notice this is just lots of different ways of remembering the key signatures. At the end of the day, so long as you remember that G major's got F sharps, D major's got F sharps and C sharps, A major's got F, C, G sharps, and then so on for the flats. So long as you remember the key signatures, that's the job done really. But as we progress through the grades, as we progress through adding more and more keys, we're going to have more and more sharps and flats to remember. And we need to remember all of these key signatures. And so it's a good way to notice and to help us to remember this counting in 5s, which leads to the circle of fifths, which brings us round all of the keys eventually. We just add a sharp, so 1 sharp is always F sharp. If there's 2 sharps, it's always F sharp plus 1, which is the C sharp. So it's always F sharp and C sharp. So there comes the point when you hardly even have to look to see what the sharps are. You just know that 2 sharps is F sharps and C sharps. If it's 3 sharps, it's got to be F sharp and C sharp plus 1, and that plus 1 is G sharps. And they are always placed particularly on these parts of the stave so that it's instantly recognisable. And so 1 flat is always B flats. So 2 flats will be B flats plus 1, B flats and E flats. 3 flats will be B flats and E flats plus 1. And they're always placed in these particular places on the stave, in the treble and the bass clef, so that we can easily see the pattern. And you get used to recognising this pattern because we have B flat, E flat, A flat. Of course, it's got to be on the correct note, as it were, but then we use those particular octaves. We don't use the low E flat, for example. So it makes kind of this zigzag pattern. So we don't use a high B flat up here, we use this low B flat. And of course you can't use ledger lines. And so it makes this recognisable zigzag pattern. And so exercise 1 gives us the opportunity to see which of these key signatures is correct. And so you can refer to the top of the page and make sure everything's placed correctly, because we can see here that this is E flat major. And each one's got 3 flats, so you think, well, yeah, that's correct. However, it isn't, because some of them are not placed correctly. So here we have B flats, E flats, A flats, and they are placed exactly correctly as it should be here. So that's our correct one. So we'll give that a tick, but let's look why these are incorrect. And so here, although that's B flats, E flats, A flat, that is indeed an E flat, but it shouldn't be there. It should be this high E flat to create that recognisable zigzag pattern. And this looks like it should be correct, but actually each of these notes are written in the treble clef. Everything should be down. If this is bass clef, it should be B flat, E flat, A flat. So actually a bit of a sneaky there. Everything here is written in the treble clef. So have a look at this next one for A major and see if you can spot which is correct and which is not. So here we have a D sharp, an A sharp and an E sharp. In actual fact, that would be correct if it was in the bass clef, but everything is a line or a space too low. So that's written incorrectly for the treble clef. It would be correct in the bass clef. And we can see that here, because in the bass clef that's an F. Good boys to the football. There's our C sharp, all cows. And there's our all cows eat grass, G sharp, and they're all written in the correct place, giving us that little zigzag pattern. So that's correct. Here, it looks like it might be correct, but this one's a little off kilter, because here's our F sharp, and actually that's a, good boys, that's a B sharp. That should not be so. It should be the C sharp, so that's not correct. And so we can start to recognise these key signatures at a glance just by doing a little bit of revision based upon the top of this page. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.